So now that you've had some time and did a few practice problems, hopefully you got the same answers that I did, we're actually going to use that formula to help us solve some things. So this next part is we're going to be finding the missing dimension of a rectangular prism. So we're given a rectangular prism, which is 7 by 16 by some height. We don't know. But we know the volume is 1,792 inches cubed. All right? So first thing we do, just like we did before, we're going to write our formula down. Volume is equal to length times width times height. Next thing we do is I'm going to substitute what you know. What do I know? I know the volume. So I'm going to put the volume in, 1,792. I know my length, which is 7. My width is 16. I don't know my height, so I leave that. So now that I have everything put in that I know, I'm going to simplify. So I'm simplifying. 7 times 16 is 112. H stays there. So that's all I can simplify. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to isolate my variable. So how am I going to get h by itself? I'm going to divide both sides by 112. So the 112s cancel out. I'm left with h. And then 1,792 divided by 112 is 16. So my variable, h, is equal to 16. And my height is 16 inches. And if I wanted to check that, how could I check it? I would do, okay, well, just to make sure I'm correct, my length times width times height, well, my length is 7 times 16 times 16. If I grab a calculator, 7 times 16 times 16, that gives me, you can see right there, that gives me the 1,792 that they gave me before. So that tells me I'm good. All right. So there's got 2 practice problems right here. So why don't you take a second, write those down, pause the video. All right, so hopefully you guys had a chance to do them and you have your answers. I'm going to do them now so you can check. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to write down our formula. Volume is equal to length times width times height. Substitute. I know my volume is 72. My length, I don't know what that is. My width is 6. And my height is 2. So now I'm going to simplify. So I've got 72 is equal to L times 12. But as you guys remember from before, we want our coefficient in front of the variable. So this should be 72 equals 12L. Now I need to isolate my variable. So I'm going to divide both sides by 12. 12s cancel out. I'm left with L equals, I believe that is 6. So the length is 6 inches. Okay, next one. I've got my volume of 1,375 centimeters cubed. I've got a length of 20 centimeters, a width of, I'm not sure, and a height of 5.5 centimeters. So I'm going to start the same way. Volume is equal to length times width times height. Formula is down. I substitute. 1,375 equals my length. It's 20 centimeters. My width, I don't know. And my height is 5.5 centimeters. All right, so now I need to simplify. So if we recall, it doesn't matter the order in which we multiply. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my 5.5 next to my 20. So I'm going to rewrite it. 1,375 equals 20 times 5.5 times W. All right. Well, I've got mixed number here and a whole number, so I need to turn them both into improper fractions to make my life easy. So 1,375 equals, say, 20 over 1 times denominator times whole number, which is 10, plus 1 is 11. So I've got 11 over 2 times W. So simplify before you multiply. So this becomes a 1, that becomes a 10. Okay, so now I can multiply. 10 times 11 is 110. So I've got 1,375 equals 110 W. Now I need to isolate my variable. I'm going to divide both sides by 110. And W equals, I'm going to grab my calculator, 1,375 divided by 110. And I end up with 12.5. So my width is 12.5 centimeters. And again, if you want to check real quick, you take your 12.5 times your width times your length of 20 times your height of 5.5, and that gives me, yep, right there, 1,375. So I am correct.